Hi, I'm Scott Flowers with Cloud Ninjas. Today we're here to continue our series on the Dell PowerEdge R660 server. In this video, we're going to specifically focus on drives. Let's get going. Hey, thanks for stopping by today. Just a little bit more about the Dell PowerEdge R660 server. Do us a favor, if you find anything that helps you in this video, click that like, smash that subscribe. All right, we'll type in. So this video is going to be the drive section of our Dell R660 part of the series. So what we're going to do in this video as a whole. First off, we're going to break down the different chassis. You might go, well, why are you talking about chassis in the drive video? Because that is very much going to determine what drives are compatible with your specific chassis. And there's a lot of chassis for the R660. Then we are going to talk about the compatible interfaces, which essentially is what drives are compatible with your Dell R660 server. Then we're going to talk about the speeds and the sizes that you can use. Then we're going to show you how to physically install them, which is, super easy because drive installation is one of the easiest things to do, but we're still going to show you nonetheless. And then at the very end, we're going to show you two testing tools that we like a lot, which is going to be Dell Diagnostics, which is just built into your server, and then a tool we like called HD Sentinel. And maybe you're buying some drives off the market, and this is, a few years down the line, and it's a used server, and you're, installing something, and you just want to test the drive beforehand. We actually set up some storage arrays where we'll take drives and we'll pop them in and we'll run HD Sentinel, and it'll tell us the power on hours, the general health score, just important things about the drive to qualify it and test it before we put it into a live production environment. All right, so up next, we're going to talk about the different types of chassis. So we're going to throw up a little chart here, and I believe it's at 13 chassis that you can use. There's literally 13 different types of R660 chassis. I mean, that's a little insane. I mean, look, I love Dell because of their easy nomenclatures. Like, it goes, you want to go way back, and it really goes R610, 620, 630, 640, 650, 660, 670. I mean, it all makes sense, right? And you go before that, and that's actually 1950 for my DDR2 friends. That was the pause a minute ago. I was like, wait, what was it? And I was like, 2950? No, that's the 2U. So it was like literally 1950, and hell, you can go before that too for everyone else. But anyhow, so there's just this easy nomenclature that lets you follow kind of everything. Supermicro, for instance, who I love because they have great product and great quality, they have like the weirdest X13DR74, R2D2 is doesn't make any sense. But anyhow, but the R660 this generation has 13 different chassis. So that's going to be a little bit tough to break down everything, but let's do our best. So out of the 13 chassis, 10 of them are going to be some version of your traditional 2.5-inch drive. And that might be SATA, SAS, NVMe, and we're going to get all the interfaces next. But 10 of them are 2.5-inch, okay? And you notice I have a 3.5-inch here, and I've been waiting for this. I'm not even going to lie. The other three systems are E3.S. So that means not a single system takes 3.5-inch drives. I've been wanting to throw that. I really did. I want to throw that really bad. It's a bad drive, by the way, okay? It was scrap already, but I wanted to throw it nonetheless, okay? There's the move to the smaller E3.S drives. I really don't think it's going to catch on the way that I think the manufacturers thought, but that's a different story. But 10 are going to be 2.5-inch drives. 3 are E3.S, and there's no 3.5-inch large form factor drive, which is actually a little bit surprising because if you go back to the 13th gen, there was no R630 that had a large form factor, and then that seemed like a problem they solved in the 14th gen because people wanted it. So now we've gone back to that, and really I feel like drives are just becoming, hard drives are becoming more and more obsolete as we move forward, unless you're using a storage box and you need huge storage, and solid state drives are just that's where it's at, obviously. So, all right, so that brings us to compatible interfaces, and that's going to bring us to the traditional SAS, SATA, and now NVMe. And really, we're going to have 4. It's going to be SAS, SATA, NVMe, and your E3.S NVMe. And those are going to be your 4 different SSDs that you can use. And you can technically use some 2.5-inch hard drives, but we're just going to completely skip those because why? But anyhow, now we're going to break down the speeds and the sizes. So you've got the 4 different interfaces that we just mentioned: SATA, SAS, NVMe, which is going to be your traditional 2.5-inch U.2, U.3s, and then NVMe E3.S. And one of the things that I personally love about our videos is that Dell's spec sheet, and by the way, Dell, I love you. You guys are a great company. You do great things, but it's always outdated because when they make the spec sheet, just think about this logically, okay? They take their engineers, and they have a bunch of them, and they throw them in, and they say, you know, run this, stress test this, do all these different things to it, test this, test that. But it's not like they have every single part in the world to test all these different things. So they only have what they have to test. So that might mean they don't test a 256 gig module, which, you know, we already said is supported, or they don't test a 60 terabyte drive, which might be supported. We didn't have one to throw in, and unfortunately it might be they don't test a 400 gigabit NIC. I mean, there's just different things that they might not be able to test to figure out if it works. Doesn't mean it doesn't work, it just means they didn't test it. So the spec sheets are out of date, especially as like stuff comes out in the future and there's new things that come out. They, of course, don't go back and test old systems. So that's what we're here for, right? Give you new information, tell you what works, and also, you know, we advise the community, please drop comments down below, because let's say it's 2 years from now and new things have come out. Let the community know what works, what doesn't work. Like, that's literally what this is here, is a tutorial to help people know what's good and what's not good. All right, so getting into it. So the original just SATA is a 6 gigabit per second SSD. That's what it is. Your SAS is going to be 12 or 24. Your NVMe, traditional U.2, U.3, is a Gen 5, which is technically 32, but that's not a real number, just Gen 5. And then your E3.S is also a Gen 5. Okay, so those are going to be your speeds. Now for the sizes. For SATA, it shows 3.84 on Dell spec sheet. You know that's not right. For SAS, 7.68. For NVMe U.2, 15.36. And for the E3.S, 7.68. Well, we're here to tell you that that is certainly outdated, right? So what you can use, at least that we tested, and honestly, like, I wouldn't be surprised if something higher worked or if something new in the future comes out that also works. And again, I encourage you, drop a comment down below. Help make this relevant, help people know what's good. It's all about good karma, right? So we played around, and what we found will actually work is going to be 15.36 terabytes for your SATA SSD, 30 and 30 and 30, and that's going to be 30 terabytes for your SAS, 30 terabytes for your traditional U.2, U.3, 2.5-inch SSD, and 30 terabytes, yes, for your E3.S. And that one actually surprised me because the team brought that back, and I said, I don't think that's right, because I think that those E3.S's are so small, the max you can do is 15 terabytes, and I just didn't think that there was enough space. But I guess Micron has actually built one, and you can get up to 30 terabytes with a E3.S. Now, I feel like most of the chassis you're going to see are going to be your traditional U.2, U.3, or a SATA SAS 2.5-inch, but again, that's what we're here for, is just to give you the general information. All right, one important note not to forget, if you want to throw in some nice boot drives, you want some M.2s, right here in the back, you can throw in a Boss N1 card. N is in Nancy, so you can throw in an N1 card, which is going to get you 2 M.2s, or 2280. Dell spec sheet's going to tell you 480 gig to 960 gig, which is going to be the drives that you can put inside. Technically, when you're using a 2280, a lot of times you're going to find consumer M.2s. When you're using 22110 is when you're going to get a lot of the enterprise. If you want a 3.84, 7.68. So that being said, you could technically throw in a Samsung 990 2 TB or 4 TB or something like this, will work just fine. All right, next up is the install, and that's going to be quick and easy because they're hot swap drives. But before we do, I'm going to grab my ESD gear and be right back.
Hey, this is Mason with Cloud Ninjas, and today I'll be showing you guys how to install your drives into your Dell PowerEdge R660 server. So as you can see, we have an NVMe SSD here, and we will be using this to replace a SATA drive from the server. So first, let's go ahead and press the orange circle to pop the lever out, and you can simply pull the lever you are replacing out of the drive bay. So now that we have this SATA SSD, we can go ahead and set it to the side and go ahead and take our new NVMe drive. And since we have this lever already popped out, we can make sure that the metal tabs on the side of the drive tray are lining up to the tracks inside the drive bay. And then simply push the drive all the way in and securing it by pushing the lever back down. Now, if you're ever having any trouble getting a drive all the way into the bay, there is a solution. When you have the lever popped out, take a look at the spring in the corner of the lever and the tray. You can easily press that spring, and that will allow you to get the drive fully into the slot. So let's go ahead and slot the drive into the bay like before, and when it gets stuck, we'll just press the spring, and then you'll be able to fully insert the drive into the slot. And that is how you install your drives into your Dell PowerEdge R660 server. So now we will go ahead and show you guys two testing tools that we really like. One Dell Diagnostics and one HD Sentinel. Be right back.
All right, so now I'm going to show you guys how to test your hard drives and solid state drives with Dell Diagnostics. So let's get started. First thing you'll do is boot up your server. Once your server is booted up, you'll go ahead and press F10 to get us into the lifecycle controller. Once we are in the lifecycle controller, go ahead and scroll down to Hardware Diagnostics, and then select Run Hardware Diagnostics. You'll get this warning here that lets you know that these tests will take several minutes to finish depending on your system's configuration, and so you'll go ahead and click Yes, and then that will load us into Dell Diagnostics. Pretty easy, right? So we're going to let these tests run, and these tests can run from 7 minutes to several hours, so just wait this out. If you're familiar with 12th gen and 13th gen, you will notice that this looks very different. Dell decided around the 14th and 15th gen to create a simpler screen with the information being in the middle instead of being on the left side of the screen. As you can see in the middle here, it will tell you what hardware is being tested and how long it will be till that test is complete. Now overall, it's just a cleaner and simpler look, and now we will go ahead and fast forward since these tests do take some time. Be right back. So once that final test is done running, it will stop and you'll get this message that says success. So all our tests have passed. And if you have a fail in the system, a message will pop up saying that this test for this hardware has failed. And at the very end here, we can take a look at all the tests that ran. And this will look similar to the older generations of PowerEdge servers. And you can see all the devices and how well they performed with the test that we just ran. You can even go into the event logs and see the test and find any failures that happened in the process. And this is how you can test your drives with Dell Diagnostics, but not just the drives, but you can also have your CPU, your memory, graphics cards, all hardware in your Dell PowerEdge server can be tested with this Dell Diagnostics. It's really simple, and you'll just make sure that everything is working in proper conditions. All right, so I have HD Sentinel pulled up right now, and as you can see, we currently have 2 drives plugged into a storage array, so we can go ahead and test multiple drives at a time. HD Sentinel is an awesome tool since you can see the power on hours, health scores, and how well it is performing overall. This is great, especially if you're using used drives, so that way you can go ahead and see how long that drive has been in use, so you're not using a drive that's been heavily used or have a high risk of drive failure. Now all you need to do is just plug in your drive in the array, and it will automatically populate within the software. And from here you can look at all the information, including health scores, which these 2 drives have 100% health scores, while the new one that we just plugged in here at the bottom has a 99% health score. So overall, this one's pretty good.
Hey, do us a favor, click that like button and smash the subscribe. If you're looking for any custom built Dell, HPE, Supermicro, Gigabyte, Asus, IBM, Cisco, we do it all. We have both new and refurbished. So please give us a call or email us at sales@cloudninjas.com. That's sales@cloudninjas.com. Anyways guys, thanks for stopping by.